It is the 8th anniversary special, part 1 of the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you, we are going to party. And certainly on this episode, we are taking a look at the past, the present, and the future. Got 3 great guests who represent all of that. From the past, we have Dave Penzer. It's a guy who legitimately was the voice of WCW Monday Nitro as a announcer. Then we're going to bring back our friend Micah Madrid, a.k.a. Sylvia Sanchez from WOW Women of Wrestling. She definitely is the present. And we're going to round that off with our man, Imon Deshawn from the Dog Pound Championship Wrestling. He is their World Heavyweight Champion and their around-the-clock champion. Certainly the future of the wrestling business. Before we get to any of that good stuff there, though, folks, I want to tell you about our friends over at Barilla Pasta. They have a new delicious version called Albronzo. Okay, this stuff is flavorful in every bite. It is so delicious and great for you. Wheat pasta, okay? But listen, it's reserve batch, non-GMO Durham wheat, micro-engraved bronze dyes for the perfect pasta texture. I'm going to tell you right now, Duke Loves Rasslin and my bodyguard, we had a pasta party with this stuff. So delicious. In fact, if you head over to the Duke Loves Rasslin Instagram account, you're going to see photos of what we came up with. Mozzarella and meatballs and sausage and just, mixed it all in there with this delicious Barilla Albronzo pasta. Oh, again, more flavor in every bite. Head over to your local grocery stores. Check out Barilla Albronzo. With all that said, let's get on with the show.
Locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Rasslin.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hey, this is David Penzer, former WCW and TNA and Impact ring announcer. I want you to check out the new book, Sitting Ringside Volume 1. You can find it on Amazon.com or davidpenzerbook.com, all one word. You're going to see about 200 pages of never-before-seen, extremely rare format, including the last Nitro format ever. And also hear my story, my take on how improbable it was for me to get in the business, but somehow made it, and thoughts on the incredible rise and fall, the roller coaster that was the Monday Night Wars and World Championship Wrestling. Again, Amazon.com or DavidPenzerBook.com, Sitting Ringside, Volume 1.
Brothers and sisters, it is so cool to kick off the 8th year of the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast with somebody who legitimately is a major factor in the history of pro wrestling. I mean, legitimately the voice of WCW, a guy who's with TNA Impact, and overall just a really, really great dude. So without further ado, the celebrated author, we can say now as well, Mr. David Penzer. How you doing there, brother?
Very much for the kind words. Congratulations on 8 years. That's 4 more years than I lasted doing a podcast. And I'm doing great. Thank you. Happy to be here and looking forward to chatting with you.
Why the book here, Dave? I mean, I know you're a guy who has spent many years in the wrestling industry, and I know you've seen all the highs and lows, the crazy stuff, the amazing moments. What made you decide to pair up with Guy Evans and write this book?
I never had any intention of writing a book. I'm 57 years old, and 56 and 3 years and 3 months, I never had any desire or intention to write a book. People would ask me, I'd say, nope. I stumbled upon, when I was cleaning my desk out in my office, a folder of extremely rare formats and memos, stuff that probably 99% of the general public, if not more than that, has never seen, and certainly nobody probably kept it. old WCW Saturday night formats, old worldwide formats from Disney. Like I said, the last night show, David Arquette winning the world title, all sorts of cool stuff. If I'm being honest, I wanted to get it out there, so I figured it was worth something. I just had no idea how and when and why and all the questions. So I took a picture of one of the formats. It was a WCW Saturday Night format from '95 or '96, and I put it on Twitter. And people wrote back, and I would say, "What do you think it's worth?" And how do you think I should dispose of it? Because the one thing that you worry about is, and you still worry about it, is once that kind of stuff gets out there, people, make copies of it on their own and undermine you. And so anyway, about an hour into this whole thing on Twitter, Guy Evans sent me a DM on Twitter. And I said, all right, call me tomorrow. And he called me and he said, we should do a scrapbook. You could tell stories about some of the guys that are on the formats and how some of the angles went that are on the formats and what you thought of them. And, that's a way we could put out this formats. And I said, all right, sounds great. So I started telling him some stories and stuff and started telling him about how I got involved in the business. He was asking the questions, leading me around. I was just answering. It's my story to the best of my ability. Months in, he called me, said, we're writing 2 books. And I said, I know, we're writing volume 1 and volume 2. He said, no, volume 2 is still going to come out, but volume 1 is going to be 2 books. I said, what the heck are you talking about? He said, we're going to do an autography as well as the formats and all the memos and the cool rare stuff. And I said, well, why would anybody want to hear that? He goes, because what you don't understand, and I'm quoting him, he said this, he said, your story is entertaining, interesting, and incredible. I said, yeah, if you say so. And, it's funny, he would send me the book in chapters that, after taking what I said and putting it into a story, so to speak, a beginning, a middle, and end. He would send me chapters, and I found it was my life. It's my stuff. It's all about the stuff I told him, and I find myself going, man, I can't wait to read the next chapter. So that's how it happened, and people are just the people that have read it so far are raving about it. Charles Robinson, I put up on Twitter, got a copy, and he just texted me this morning and pages in, and he loves it. So that's high praise from a guy like that, who I used to ride up and down the roads with, and we lived the same stories. So I'm interested once guys like that read it to get a take of they thought of what I described as my experience versus their experience, and if there's any differences in their thoughts, or so it should be a fun 6 months or a year being able to go over this, and and then volume 2 will come out. That's going to be that's going to be TNA, Impact Wrestling, Roddy Piper book tour 45 days crossing the country in the tour bus with Roddy Piper, and unfortunately we'll have to get into detail and I hate to have to talk about that, but that's part of my story, and people might be surprised what I have to say about that.
Well, and that's really cool because, one thing that is an interesting factoid about you is legitimately, at least in terms of people who have appeared on camera, you were there from the very beginning to the very end of WCW Nitro. And that puts you in a position where there's so much that you experienced and that you and that you were a fly on the wall and that you were involved in. Talk to me just about that fact, the fact that you were a guy that was able to stick around so long during such a historic period of time in the industry.
Well, if you never miss a show, they can't replace you. That was my thought process. So I just never missed a show. It didn't matter if I was sick or as I was battling a panic attack, or if I had issues at home, or it just didn't matter. If you as the one and only ring announcer in the company at the time, if I miss a show, they got to find somebody else. And who knows who that somebody else might be, who they might be related to, et cetera, et cetera. Just don't give them the opportunity. Show up at every show and you don't have to worry about it as long as you behave, which I did most of the time. Just read a couple stories in the book that I thought I was toast and fired, but luckily I was able to survive. But even like, in the years after WCW, when I was working for TNA and Impact and all that, I only missed one television taping that I was scheduled to do in 30 years in the wrestling business. And that was because a couple years ago, COVID just kicked my butt. And I was in the hospital for 3 days, and I couldn't get out of bed for 6 weeks. Just kicked my ass, if I could say that. And so I had to call and say, hey, man, I have to miss the first taping I've ever missed in 30 years in the wrestling business. And,
it's like you're giving a whole new meaning to the word Iron Man. Goodness gracious, all those years, over 30 years, and you hadn't missed a show. And then when you finally did miss a show, that was the only show that you've missed in the entire career. That's fascinating to me.
Hey, if you show up and you work hard, people are going to recognize that, when they think of when they have an opening for a ring announcer and they think of who's somebody that's dependable and knows going to work hard and show up, which is a big part of the whole thing. Hopefully they would think of somebody like me. And I like to think that's why Scott called me during COVID when I became the Impact ring announcer, that I finished up that job in December. That's the thought process behind that, I guess.
You're a New York guy. And, for me as a Boston guy, there's something about us who are from the Northeast. We have a different type of edge about us. We have a different type of work ethic about us and what have you. So I'm not surprised that you're somebody who was so dependable, and that's really a mantra and something that you hang your hat on. It's awesome. What advice do you have for other folks, especially folks in wrestling who are not pro wrestlers? So it's everybody else, other than making sure that you remain dependable and reliable by actually showing up to work on a consistent basis. Do you have any other tips or pointers for folks out there who are either in the business or who are breaking in, who are not wrestlers?
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm really not a New York guy. I lived in New York for 6 years. So when I was 6 years old, I moved to South Florida. So I'm really a Florida guy, which maybe is kind of the same attitude. But I did live there for 6 years, and I was born in the Bronx. But as far as, it's a different business than it was back then. In 1990, when I toe in the door of WCW through a friend I had made and worked on independence, promoting independent shows by the name of Bob Roop, who was a wrestler and a booker in the territory system, and had gone up to work for as an agent when he was booking WCW. They didn't just let people backstage. You didn't unless you were a wrestler who had experience, unless you were a referee who had experience, or unless your last name was the booker of the territory or a former champion, you didn't go backstage. I got really lucky. A gentleman named Jody Hamilton, the assassin, and we go in much more detail in the book on this whole journey, saw something in me that wasn't there. It was impractical, if not impossible, that I got to where I got in that time. I understand it's a lot easier now to get your toe in that door. So luckily for people in it now, they don't face as many obstacles as, we don't let marks in the back and, that stuff like that, because that was the prevailing thought process. And, it was months before any of the top guys would even talk to me. They weren't mean to me. They just kept to themselves. And I hung out with the enhancement talent that I was bringing up and just tried to work as hard as I could doing behind the scenes stuff to show that I was worth, had some value. And now, I would just say that, if you're going to go in, just be ready to do anything. If they ask you to pick up a thing of ice, to put the waters in, go grab a thing of ice. And, if it costs $4, which ice does now only, maybe you could ask if you could get it repaid. If not, take it on the chin. The company will remember that. Just don't let people take advantage of you. But when you're trying to get your foot in the door, you got to remember the people trying to get their same foot in that door. So whatever you could do without being taken advantage of, to go be above and beyond just the job that you're hired to do, whether it's a referee or ring announcer, helping with the production, go out of your way and do it. A lot of people out there that want to be in the wrestling business. I was lucky back then. I really was a rare situation where I got extremely lucky, and there was really not a lot of other people out there. But now there is. So you really have to show yourself different and more valuable than anybody else that wants that position.
You know, I'm a guy that gets paid to run my mouth for a living as well. So I always tip my hat, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for others who are doing it different ways. And certainly you, to last in wrestling for over 30 years. And really, you know, your voice is your moneymaker. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal. Do you have any tips on how to keep your vocal cords and your voice in general strong and conditioned to be able to do something like you did on such a high level, especially on live television for so long? Any advice for the vocal cords?
I don't know, maybe vodka. I'm kidding. I don't know. I would, a lot of like Matthew Raywall, when before he does goes out to do the color commentary for TNA Impact, he does different things with his voice, different exercises. I never really did any of that. And when I actually told him that, he was like, "You never did any of that for all these years?" And I'm like, "No, I just went out and talked." So I really, I don't really have any. I remember when we were on the road 25 days a month, every once in a while I'd lose my voice a little bit. And I forget what it was, but it was like something you put on your tongue, kind of dripped on your tongue. And Mike Tenay was the one who smarted me up to it, but I haven't done that since the end of WCW, probably since 1999 or 2000. So, but every different way of doing things. I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do exercises and stuff. I probably more people do that than don't. I just, for whatever reason, I just never did. I don't know.
I wonder if the stuff you're talking about that you dripped on your tongue, do you think it's that liquid oregano? Did it kind of give you a little tingle, a little burn when you swallowed it?
Yeah, it did.
Oregano. That's that liquid oregano stuff that you can get at GNC and different type of health food stores, and certainly it will wake your throat up when it's tired. So that's actually a pretty. You managed to slip one in there, Dave, without even realizing it.
Yeah, I'm good like that, man. I can pull one out of my ass even when I don't know what I'm talking about.
and it still makes sense. That's the best part, This is why you got to grab a copy of Sitting Ringside by Dave Penzer and also our great friend Guy Evans. Now, remember, folks, Guy Evans is the guy who wrote the WCW Nitro book. Literally nobody, and Eric Bischoff has made it clear himself, nobody has been able to compile the information and keep it all in one place the way that Guy Evans was able to do. So the fact that now he's transitioned, he did a book with Bischoff, and now he says, you know what, Dave Penzer's my next guy. We got to do something. Let's find out about what happened back then from the perspective of somebody who wasn't a wrestler, who wasn't an executive, still a performer, still a very important piece of the puzzle. And most importantly, he was there the whole time. So for a guy like David Penzer to be able to gather his information, and he and Guy Evans put this piece of work out, you got to grab a copy of Sitting Ringside by Dave Penzer and Guy Evans, folks. This is just awesome, especially if you care about the history of pro wrestling for sure. Dave, real quick, what are your thoughts on the current state of wrestling? I mean, you see what we have now with AEW trying to be a quote-unquote challenger to WWE, but you also have WoW Superheroes that have a big deal on CBS. TNA seems to be trying to be back on the upswing. The NWA, they're doing stuff with the CW on their app. What's your thoughts on the general state of pro wrestling in 2024?
I think it's great. I think there's something for everyone. There's a lot for everyone. If you want the more storyline based, you have WWE that's on fire right now. If you want, to see matches like Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson, which I haven't been watching yet, but I will. You have AEW. NWA, TNA, Women of Wrestling, all that stuff, indie shows, Game Changer. It's great. things. Indie shows are selling out, and ratings are going up. So yeah, it's the one thing I don't understand is the division. The picking sides. I when I was 11 years old in May 97, I turned on Channel 6 at 12 o'clock noon in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and saw for the first time Championship Wrestling from Florida, Dusty Rhodes, Superstar Billy Graham, and the rest of the crew there. And I fell in love. I was mesmerized by it today. I'm just as in love with it as I am today. I'm not mesmerized by everything. Now, back then, you got 1 hour of Championship Wrestling from Florida, so you took it all in. That was all you got. Now there's a lot of places to go. So, I DVR most of the shows and fast forward through, unless it's something, building towards WrestleMania. I turned on the beginning or the end of some of those shows live, but usually DVR. I DVR AW, TNA. I don't even NWA. I think you can get now on the CW app, but I used to watch it when it first came out, when they did it in the old school style, like Georgia Championship Wrestling used to, with a studio audience. Pretty much what they still do, and yeah, find what you like and support everything. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean that it sucks. The people that you might like in one company might go to a company that you love. So you hated them in one company doesn't mean you can't hate it. You can't like them in the other company, and vice versa. I could guarantee you that none of the talent, while they're competitive about wanting to stand out and do well, from that standpoint, I could give not one person out there that's going to say, I hope this company goes out of business. Trust me, I lived that, and this business lived that, and it took a long time to recover. There's a reason the XWF never got on the air with all the stars we had. And the backing of Hulk Hogan and people like that. There's a reason that TNA started out as a weekly pay-per-view only, and then had to pay to get on the air before they were able to get reimbursed and paid to be able to sell their programming. So we've done that. Done that. We see how it worked out. It took 15, 20 years for it to really come full circle. And here we are. So I would just urge that, hey, like what you like, but, cheer for everyone.
I love that. That's great advice there, Dave. Dave Penzer. Listen, if anybody listening wants to continue to follow you on your journey, because you never know what's going to happen next, especially when you have other volumes of this great book sitting ringside that's coming out. What's the best way that folks can keep up with you personally?
Come follow me on Twitter at David Penzer, all one word. Don't talk politics. I don't argue with people for the most part. And wrestling, a little music, because I'm a big concert buff. And also I'm on Facebook. I think it's David Penzer WCW, but you could just, put my name in and you'll see it come up. But yeah, follow along, man. I'm interactive more on Twitter than I am on Facebook. So if you really want to follow the journey, join me on Twitter at David Penzer. And let's have some fun, man.
Before I let you go, since you brought it up, I got to ask you, what is the absolute, you only get one now, what is the absolute best concert you ever been to, and why?
Oh, after 9/11, and I lived in Atlanta at the time because I was working for WCW. They did a couple of concerts, one in Atlanta and one in Los Angeles. And like every classic rock person, whether it was like the leader of a band that had classic rock hits or the band that had classic rock hits, played like an all-day concert. I don't even think, I'm pretty sure it didn't even get taped on TV, but it was just like 5-6 hours of, this band sings three, and this guy who's the lead singer, this band sings 3 songs, and it went on and on and on and on and on. And while it sucked that it was, that it took something so horrible to have that happen, boy, from a concert viewer's perspective, I was like, I was loving life. It was like hit after hit after hit after hit for 5 hours. It was incredible.
Awesome conversation there with Dave Penzer. Just a really cool guy. He has seen it all and really been in the mix from a unique perspective. I mean, as a ring announcer, he was there without having to be one of the wrestlers or one of the executives. So to hear his perspective on what was going on in WCW, especially during the the Nitro years and from the beginning to the very end of that. Wow. Incredible. So definitely pick up a copy of the book there. And shout out to Guy Evans. I mean, I have a lot of time for Guy, legitimately my favorite author, especially in the pro wrestling space. Guy just gets it done. Great dude there. So those guys always have a place on this show. And as other editions come out and other things are put out there, I know Penzer just said something about his time in TNA Impact, and certainly the next volume will be about that, which is really cool because, there's a lot of mythology around TNA Impact. And if Dave Penzer can shed some light on some interesting behind-the-scenes things, that's a lot of those stories are stuff we'd never heard before. So, this is exactly why it's so cool to have a show where we can have these folks come on and tell these stories. Why not, right? So anyway, Sitting Ringside, by Dave Penzer and Guy Evans. Grab a copy as soon as you can, whether it be on Amazon. You could check out Guy's website, Penzer's website, the whole 9 yards there. Just get a copy there. You'll enjoy it for sure. We are going to take a quick pause for the cause, and then we're going to get into an incredible conversation with Sylvia Sanchez of Wow Women of Wrestling. But before we get to any of that, folks, I'm telling you right now, stop the presses. You got to check out the new era at Panera. That's right, Panera Bread, our friends over there, they have revamped their entire menu. We're talking more new options under $10, more new salads and sandwiches. Of course, I got to check out that toasted Italiano. I love that sandwich. It's delicious. A lot of folks love the chicken bacon rancher. That's another delicious one. But the best part is, no matter what you get, there's going to be more in every bite. The portions are incredible. You do not want to miss it. Head over to your local Panera Bread or visit PaneraBread.com, download the app, put in your order. The best part about it is it could be delivered to you, or you could put it in for pickup. They'll bring it out to the car, or you can go over to the area, just grab your bag and go. It's awesome. Legitimately, one of the best lunches I consistently have is from PaneraBread.com. So that takes care of that. Without further ado, one of the craziest interviews you've ever heard from the lady whose alter ego is Micah Madrid. And we've been covering Micah since day one here on Duke Loves Rasslin, 8 years. But she is now known as Sylvia Sanchez in Wow Women of Wrestling. Check out this conversation right here. Brothers and sisters, we saw one of the most egregious things to happen in pro wrestling in I don't even know how long. I mean, it's been so ridiculous that I'm beside myself. I can't remember being so upset. Sylvia Sanchez, somebody who we thought was okay. We thought this was somebody that we could get behind. She made the biggest mistake in pro wrestling history. She put her hands on the world's greatest attorney, Sophia Lopez. Sophia Lopez, the Duke's attorney, someone who is a great friend of the show, someone who I go to for legal advice, and she also helps me sue anybody that stands in my way. Legitimately, Sophia Lopez is the salt of the earth. She is the sugar syrup on your pancakes. She is the apple in mom's apple pie. To think that Sylvia Sanchez would stoop so low and slap the world's greatest attorney, Sophia Lopez, I'm just beside myself, and I got to get to the bottom of this, folks. Sylvia Sanchez, what do you have to say for yourself? How dare you put hands on Sophia Lopez?
Duke, okay, I did not come to WoW to play games and play dress up with all these girls. I came to take care of business, okay? You know what? Sophia put me with people that cannot handle their own. I have to go in there and do the job for both of us. And Mrs., I'm the greatest attorney in the world. Then find me a great partner. She has been failing at that.
Now, come on, Sylvia Sanchez. Let's be honest here. Sofia Lopez, the world's greatest attorney, she has done everything in her power to set you up for success. She's found you partners that you are supposed to find a way to work with. It's okay if you have disagreements, but you can't blame the world's greatest attorney, Sofia Lopez, because you can't get along with your partners.
Whoa, Duke. I'm getting along with them perfectly fine.
Hold, come on now, Sylvia Sanchez. You can't say you're getting along with these partners perfectly fine when you have literally had all of your partners replaced, and now you slapped the world's greatest attorney, Sofia Lopez, when Sofia Lopez, she's literally the strawberry in a daiquiri. She is the cherry on top of the ice cream. Legitimately, Sofia Lopez is the best, most wonderful woman on the planet, and you put your hands on her. I'm telling you right now, Sylvia Sanchez, you are wrong.
Okay, you're really going to get me upset now, because how can you defend Sofia whenever she promised me all these different things that's going to happen at WoW and nothing has happened at all?
Well, Sylvia Sanchez, I'm going to tell you right now something that definitely should happen. The world's greatest attorney, Sofia Lopez, should sue you for having the audacity to slap her the way that you did in front of the entire world on WoW Superheroes. Legitimately, one of the top wrestling programs in the world. This is seen by anyone and everyone. They saw what you did to Sofia Lopez. I hope she takes you to court and cleans you out.
Well, you know what? They could call me all day long for court appearance, all that stuff, and I could drag that on for years. So I ain't worried about nothing.
Oh, my goodness. Now you're quoting French Montana talking about you ain't worried about nothing, huh? Now you think you're some kind of rapper. Sylvia Sanchez has completely lost her mind, folks. And this is why she doesn't have a partner right now and may never have a partner again, because this is a bad attitude. This is somebody who can't get along with the world's greatest attorney, Sofia Lopez. Legitimately, Sylvia Sanchez just needs to be all by herself on her own, because it's clear she doesn't work well with others.
You know, Duke, do you really think that Sylvia Sanchez needs anybody on that WoW roster? Sylvia Sanchez could do anything by herself. She doesn't need anybody else.
Well, you know, it's easy to talk a big game, you know, now that you can be on the microphone. But when you step back into that ring, Sylvia Sanchez, and you have to be held accountable for your actions. Because, see, the world's greatest attorney, Sofia Lopez, she has friends in high places and low places, just like Garth Brooks would say, okay? Sylvia Sanchez, you got to understand, Sofia Lopez has friends all over, and they're not going to take too kindly to what you did to the world's greatest attorney, Sofia Lopez. What are you going to do when you have to face the music? What are you going to do, Sylvia Sanchez, when you have to pay for putting your hands on the world's greatest attorney, Sofia Lopez?
Sylvia Sanchez will be anybody. Do you not understand that? ¿Entiendes? ¿Habla español? Poquito, maybe?
Listen, Sylvia Sanchez, don't come here and try to insult the Duke by speaking another language, because the Duke knows a little Spanish, okay? Watch it. Bienvenidos. Sábado. Domingo. Okay? Don't play with me. I know how to do this here. All right? Que lío. Tico, 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 tico. I know how to speak a little bit of Spanish. I can sing it. I can dance it. I can all night long here. But it's not about me. It's about you. Sylvia Sanchez, with her bad attitude in WoW Women of Wrestling, all over the place, the CW or CBS networks, Paramount, on the YouTube. You can catch WoW all over the world, folks, and you can see what we're talking about. This Sylvia Sanchez, her head has gotten too big. She's all over the place. I'm beside myself for what she did to the world's greatest attorney, my attorney, Sofia Lopez. This is just outrageous. I cannot believe you, Sylvia Sanchez. I cannot believe what you did here.
Duke, I'm not there to be liked. ¿Entiendes? I'm there to wrestle, do my job, show you who Sylvia Sanchez is. I don't need anybody. I'll do whatever it takes. You know what, Duke? Sylvia Sanchez will take on anybody in WoW, okay? It doesn't matter if you're the Beast, you're Abilene Maverick, whatever. Sylvia Sanchez is going to fly on Ginny Buss's private plane after beating LeBron James at a game of horse, and then come out to Boston to see you, Duke. Sylvia Sanchez has 2 fists with your name on it, and they're knocking on your door. So come say hello, Duke.
Well, I'm not answering my door for Sylvia Sanchez, her two fists, or anything related to you. This is ridiculous. I'm just a podcaster here, and you're threatening me. You already beat up the world's greatest attorney and my great friend, Sophia Lopez. I don't want any problems here. David McClain, I know you're listening. You need to get in touch with me, man, because this Sylvia Sanchez, she is just out of control. I don't know what's going on. Folks listening right now, tune in. You got to check out Wow Women of Wrestling. Fantastic wrestlers, fantastic action. Unfortunately, you get to see the crazy antics of Sylvia Sanchez, so you have to check your local listings on how you can check out WOW.
Duke, we're on the CW network. If you have an antenna, those rabbit ears, you can catch us on TV. If you have Paramount Plus, you can catch us there too. If you have Vice, you can catch us there too. Duke, there's even people in space that are watching Sylvia Sanchez on WOW.
Well, it's clear you have a very high opinion of yourself, Sylvia Sanchez. So why don't you just finish it off here? If anyone listening wants to keep up with you on social media, or maybe they want to block you, I don't know, one or the other, what's the best way they can find you on the different social media?
So all the listeners out there, especially on Duke Loves Rasslin, you can follow me at wow_Sylvia Sanchez. And that's going to be with a Y, not an I. People do not know how to spell Sylvia. How disrespectful is that? And then on Twitter, you can also follow me at wow_S Sanchez. And if you don't follow me, Sylvia Sanchez has two fists for you.
How ridiculous was that conversation there? Sylvia Sanchez, legitimately, listen, first of all, Sylvia Sanchez, she has an alternate personality. That's Michael Madrid. We all know who Michael Madrid is, and we know my problems with her through the years. She goes to WOW. She's Sylvia Sanchez suddenly. She's a big shot. She got this big contract. She's on TV. She's a TV star. Next thing you know, she's not getting along with her tag team partners here. Next thing you know, she's kicking them out of the tag teams. Next thing you know, she's putting hands on Sophia Lopez, the world's greatest attorney. I'm telling you right now, folks, Sylvia Sanchez may be the most evil, dastardly wrestler in the history of pro wrestling. It is ridiculous the way that this woman has been carrying on. And look, tune into WOW, okay? Tune into WOW so you can see for yourself. You can cheer against her. We need to rally around Sophia Lopez. We need to rally around anyone that steps in the ring against Sylvia Sanchez, because what she's doing is a miscarriage of justice. We can't stand for it, brothers and sisters. We need to band together and let the world know Sylvia Sanchez is no good, and we will not follow her example. She cannot put her hands on Sophia Lopez. It is ridiculous, and she certainly shouldn't be threatening the Duke, and she certainly shouldn't be talking about having two fists for you as well, the listeners. This person is out of control. Out of control. David McClain, you know the number. You need to get in touch with me, David, because we got to talk about this Genie Bus. We might have to have a summit. She's already threatened to beat LeBron James in a game of horse. Are you kidding me? This Sylvia Sanchez is out of control. We got to do something about this, Genie. David, call me. We got to talk. LeBron, I'm handling it, brother. I'm sorry. Sophia Lopez, we're gonna figure this out. If we got to bring Sylvia Sanchez to justice, we will do it. Okay, we'll do it together. For all the fans out there of WOW, for all the listeners of Duke Loves Rasslin, for you, we are going to do something about the Sylvia Sanchez problem in pro wrestling today. My goodness. Anyway, we're going to take a quick pause for the cause, and when we come back, we are going to end episode 1 of our 8th year anniversary special with a young man who is certainly making a name for himself down there in Dog Pound Championship Wrestling, a man by the name of Imon Deshawn. But before we get to any of that, folks, I want to remind you, Zencastr, Zencastr. That is the studio quality program that I use to get my audio straightened out for all of you Duke Loves Wrestling. For all of you Duke Loves Wrestling listeners, I'm telling you right now, Zencastr, they continue to update it. The sound quality is impeccable. There's so many different things we can do. They even have video offered now as well. So if you are somebody that is doing anything related to audio and video recording and editing, if you have a show, whether it be a podcast or you're doing something with work, I encourage you to check out Zencastr. Once again, Zencastr. Give them a shot. You will not regret it. It's been years now. They are one of my favorite partners. They've been great to the Duke Loves Rasslin podcast. They've been a major part of the growth of Duke Loves Rasslin because they've assisted me in getting my sound together. It's so important. If you're going to do a podcast, if you're going to do a show, if you're going to put it out there for the world to hear, you got to make sure that you're putting out the best possible sound that you can. And certainly if you're using Zencastr, you already are doing that the right way, baby. So again, Zencastr. Visit Zencastr.com and enjoy. That's right. And now, our final interview for this 8th anniversary special part 1. We already did somebody from the past, we did somebody from the present, and now we're talking to the future. This is Imon Deshawn. Check it out.
This is Imon Deshawn, your dog pound world championship wrestling double champion. And you're listening to Duke Loves Rasslin.
You know, it's not every day that you are able to speak to somebody who holds not only 1, but 2 championships. I don't care what you're doing. And certainly our guest to round out part 1 of our 8th year anniversary special is a guy that has earned the respect of his peers. He has beaten respect out of his foes. And legitimately, he's somebody that I want you to hear from. So without further ado, the champ himself, Imon Deshawn. Welcome to Duke Loves Rasslin. How you doing, brother?
Duke, say my name again.
Imon Deshawn.
Duke, say my name again.
Imon Deshawn.
Imon Deshawn is your dog pound world championship wrestling world heavyweight champion. Imon Deshawn is your dog pound championship wrestling around the clock champion. So for all you punks out there, punks step up and punks get beat down.
Whoa, okay, we're coming in hot here. Imon Deshawn is literally laying the gauntlet out there for the whole world. Imon, first of all, congratulations on being a double champion over there at the Dog Pound. But this is interesting. So you're calling the punks out there. Who are the punks that Imon Deshawn is referring to?
Ask anybody that steps up, man.
Okay. All right. He means business. First of all, man, talk to me about the fact that you were able to accomplish the great feat, the world championship itself. How does it feel to be the face of Dog Pound Championship Wrestling?
It's a great feeling, of course. Anytime you can be the face of a company, you know, with all the work that Imon has done, I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be. Not only do I have 1, I have 2 titles. So I'm very comfortable and I'm very hungry to eat the rest of the competition up.
It's interesting because you haven't been wrestling that long, and yet you already have tasted gold twice. That's crazy. Are you concerned that now the wagons are circling, so to speak, the buzzards are coming out, and they're going to want to take a piece of you?
No, not at all. I have no concerns. I mean, this is what happens. You're meant to get to the top of the mountain and make sure you stay there. I'm where I want to be, where I'm supposed to be.
Now, there are a lot of fans out there, especially the ladies. From what I hear, Little Birdie told me that you are a very well-received and a very popular competitor out there. How do you balance it? How do you balance staying focused on getting the job done in the ring when you have all of the ladies out there screaming your name, Imon Deshawn?
Duke, ladies love Imon Deshawn, and men fear Imon Deshawn.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, that sounds like a T-shirt to me. Goodness gracious. Rodney Mack and Jazz, what is going on with your champion over here? He's dropping gems this week. Oh, my goodness. Looking ahead, because we know that, Dog Pound is just continuing to grow. Great promotion, great marketing online and what have you. Mm-hmm. How long do you think you can hold on to these titles? Because it's tough being a double champion now. How long do you think Imon Deshawn is going to stay on top of the mountain over there?
As long as I want to. That, of course, seems like the mountain's only getting bigger, which really means I just need more gold, as far as I see it.
Does Imon Deshawn have any allies out there, or are you rolling solo?
That's a ridiculous question. Imon Deshawn is a double champion. Does it look like I have allies? Do you think I needed help to win both of these titles? No.
Okay, so when Imon Deshawn is not out there defending the championship, when Imon Deshawn is not out there making the ladies go wild, what else is the champ up to? I mean, is there anything else other than pro wrestling in your life?
This is it. When I'm not in the ring beating somebody up, I'm training to beat somebody up. It's that simple. What you see is what you get.
Yeah, well, certainly. I mean, you definitely have put the work in the gym. In top shape right there. I mean, I'm scared of you, brother. I don't want any problems there for sure. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about the diet, though, because if I want to be a double champion someday, okay, if the Duke wants to be like Imon Deshawn, what does the Duke need to eat? I know I can't grow the hair like Imon Deshawn. That ship has already sailed, but what can I eat to look like Imon Deshawn?
Well, first off, Duke, hate to break it to you, there's only one Imon Deshawn. So the ship is sailed on that one too. But if you want to try, keep it real simple. Greens, chicken, rice, a lot of water.
Okay, I write that down, folks. Greens, chicken, rice, a lot of water. Just in time for Easter Sunday coming up. Got to make sure that we get all that straightened out. That is the Imon Deshawn, the champ. And that is the diet, the meal, so to speak, there. So that's good stuff there. Imon, listen, I know that the fans out there, especially here at Duke Loves Rasslin, they want to keep up with somebody like yourself. Legitimately, I would not be surprised if one day you are main eventing WrestleMania. I mean, that's how talented you are. Again, please just don't beat me up. But anyway, what's the best way that anyone listening can keep up with Imon Deshawn?
The best way is Instagram. My Instagram is Imon Deshawn. Let me spell it for you. That's Imon, IMON _ Deshawn, DESHON. I'm also on Facebook and YouTube under Imon Deshawn. That's IMON DESHON.
And what if folks want to check out the promotion? Because certainly they got to see Imon Deshawn wrestle.
Oh, yeah. My home base, Dog Pound Championship Wrestling. On social media, that is Instagram, DP Championship, CHAMPIONSHIP Wrestling, WRESTLING, Dog Pound Championship Wrestling.
Well, listen, champ himself, Imon Deshawn, you are a good dude. I appreciate the fact that you're not going to rough me up here because you got plenty of competition out there. Dog Pound Championship Wrestling for sure. Just do me a favor, please, and leave my lady alone. Can you do that for me?
Duke, that's up to her, not me, man. Duke, you need to make sure you say my name.
Wow, the nerve of this guy, Imon Deshawn. Literally, I asked him to do me a favor and just, leave my lady alone because he's a handsome guy. He's a champ. I don't want any problems there. And the man is saying it's up to her, and I better say his name. Okay, well, Imon Deshawn. Say it 3 times so you don't forget it. Okay. Past, present, and future, folks. That is the theme on part 1 of the Duke Loves Wrestling podcast. 8th year anniversary special. Fantastic. Just thank you to all the great guests. Certainly Dave Penzer, Sylvia Sanchez from Wild Superheroes, and of course, Imon Deshawn, Dog Pound Championship Wrestling. Wow. Duke Loves Rasslin on Facebook, on Twitter, DukeLovesRasslin@gmail.com. Let me know what you think, folks. The next episode, which will drop in the next couple of days here, we will have our traditional format where you'll hear some of the voice messages and well wishes from all the different folks. And I got some surprise guests coming up. Oh my God. I can't wait for you to hear that. But I wanted to highlight, again, past, present, and future on this part 1, because that legitimately is what this show is all about. We have consistently featured some of the great talents and made sure that you never forget some of the great names historically in the industry of pro wrestling. We've also made it a point to feature folks who exist out there today, making it happen today, close to the pinnacle of their career today. You can see Sylvia Sanchez on TV today on Wow Women of Wrestling, right? But also you have a guy like Imon Deshawn who legitimately, he's just getting started. He's a champ right now, and the sky's the limit, but there is so much more to go. So certainly that's what Duke Loves Rasslin is all about. If there was ever a way to recap the past 8 years, you just heard it right there in this episode, folks. And we're going to continue to deliver on this. So, till next time, be kind to yourselves and be kind to others. Take it away, Tony Schiavone.
This is Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Wrestling.